There I am. Let me see here. Can I pop myself off? Yes. Okay. We're live. CFLW, the show for this Monday, November the 3rd. I hope you guys are doing well. Great to see you on this Monday. Rusty with you here. Give me just 1 second, actually, here. Forgot to pop on a little bit of our lights here in the studio. Might make me a little bit brighter. Good to see you guys. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. Beautiful weekend. Cool in the morning, very nice and pleasant in the afternoon hours. We're going to get into what is going to be a warmer forecast coming up for us here, at least in the short term. Look at our rain chances as well, and then talk about the potential for if there's any tropical development that might still be a situation to have to keep an eye out for here as well. Now, as always, CFLW, the show, is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. Look, they offer free consultation and policy reviews. So if you've had any kind of damage to your home lately, maybe you guys were involved in the flooding that occurred over the last couple of weeks in Central Florida and you're starting to go through that insurance claim process, they can help you guys out. They'll walk you through that insurance claim process and offering the free consultation and policy reviews. You guys really have nothing to lose. You want to check out someone who helps out the channel. It's leanonmelaw.com if you all would like more information. How are we doing, guys? Good to see you. Hi, Chessie. How are you this afternoon? Very pleasant, 100% sunshine. I hear you. That light north wind and a 72-degree temperature. It's like a chef's kiss outside right now, isn't it? Beautiful start to our early Monday afternoon. I hope you are doing well. Hi, Fiona. How are you? Sunny, but cool nights. Absolutely. That's been the story here lately, is to get those cool temperatures in the morning hours, where we've had a lot of lows in the 40s and 50s lately. We'll have at least one more afternoon with temperatures that'll be below average. Then we'll get another cool night ahead. But as we roll into the midweek, I do expect temperatures to climb, and we're likely going to be looking at some 80s for daytime highs. Now, one thing you're going to note here, and I'm aware of it, I just remembered as I came on the air though, is that you're going to see that the clock is still showing Eastern Standard Time. That's actually not an issue with my system. We got a brand new computer that is new to daylight saving time, and I need to go back in and change the internal clock to not worry about daylight saving time, and then my system will pick it up correctly. So it's just the fact that the internal clock of the computer is throwing off my system. It's a known issue. It's just that with the brand new computer, I had fixed it with the old one. With the new one, I just completely forgot about it until I was about ready to jump on the air. So I apologize. Obviously, it's 1:06 Eastern Daylight Time, which, by the way, stinks. I don't know about you guys. Sunset now being about 5:36 in the evening, and only getting, earlier and earlier in the afternoon. I'm not a big fan of it. Let me guys know how you guys think about it. Do you like the, return to standard time? Do you like the fact that, we're getting up earlier so the sun rises earlier, or that you want that daylight to be later? I enjoy the later days. I wouldn't mind if we stayed on daylight saving time the entire year. 42 degrees Saturday morning. I gotcha. That is chilly, and again, some outlying areas, western, northern sides, away from the water, some lower 40s, as you just saw from Chessie, for the weekend. Now, we had a very weak, and I mean a very weak disturbance slip through the area late yesterday and overnight. It brought a few light showers, and more than anything, just a couple of sprinkles outside, mainly to our western areas. But the air was so dry, the atmosphere was so moisture starved, we didn't really have an opportunity to get more than that. And unfortunately, our western zones are the ones that have been the driest during the wet season. Now we transition back into the dry season. We're really just desperate to get any rain out there. The front itself has stalled out over the southern part of the state. There'll be the opportunity for some showers to develop here later today, and then we'll talk about how things might be impacted for us down the road if there's any chance for any additional rain. Let's take a look at the wind gusts right now. They look like this: 15, 20, 25 mile an hour winds. Now, the winds will still be up this afternoon. They'll settle down overnight, and we're still going to have a fresh wind tomorrow, which will keep temperatures, again, a little bit below average. But starting later Tuesday afternoon, and especially Wednesday into Thursday, things are going to be warming up. But if you step outside right now, again, temperatures in the 70s, dew points, which again out west are in the 40s and 50s. We mentioned how the east winds on Friday's show would keep our immediate east coast just a little bit milder because their dew points would be up, so the air is not as dry, so you don't get the diurnal temperature range if you don't have the drier air in place, so you get the cooler mornings and then the warmer afternoons. You know, everyone gets up to the same temperature in the afternoons, just how cool you mainly get in this environment as we go through the morning hours. Now, before I go too much farther, part of the Media Mundo team was out this weekend at the 11th annual Central Florida Egg Fest on Wekiva Island. Understand it's a fantastic charity event. You walk around, you get your fill of food, and there was one thing that our booth was handing out. It was corn ribs, and apparently it was a big hit. And so we teased it a little bit. We handed out the cards for both channels, the CFLW channel and the Media Mundo channel. We said, if you're interested in getting the recipe for these corn ribs, which again, apparently people were just coming back in the line to get more of, I'm going to provide that recipe sometime during this live stream. So if you are a new viewer and you're watching either during the live part of this or during the recorded version, of course, you know, I do this Monday through Friday show at 1 o'clock. When I get done, it becomes a recorded video on the live tab here of the CFLW channel. You can watch it at your leisure. Again, these Monday shows cover the work week ahead. The Friday show is Friday and the weekend forecast. And there's a lot of information that you can watch time adjusted. You don't have to watch during the live show. I really appreciate it because, again, it's basically you guys interacting with me. That's the biggest thing from just watching the forecast on television. You guys can ask questions. And of course, over on the Media Mundo channel, we cover the tropical weather and the daily forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas. So welcome to all those who might be joining us from having caught our booth over at the Egg Fest there at Wekiva Island, the 11th annual one, by the way. I don't like it getting darker either. I don't like it either as well. Hey, Nick, how are you? I hope you're doing well today. So look, guys, we are in store for some very nice weather over the next couple of days. Temperatures right now, again, 60s into the lower 70s, but the air is nice and dry. Now, of course, we have our live cameras here at CFLW. It helps tell the weather story, so I don't like to go too far before we take a look at those. Live look outside to Winter Garden at the hour, and again, as Chessie mentioned, 100% sunshine, and that's exactly what we're getting across there as well. Yeah, I prefer daylight saving time. There's no doubt about it. I just like the later daylight, later of the day. Simple as that. So again, your current conditions are scrolling at the bottom of your screen if you're new to the channel as well. So that's a live look outside to Winter Garden. Here's a live look outside to Winter Park. This is our lean log cam in Winter Park as we look back off to the east-southeast. Once again, crystal clear skies. It just gives you an indication that the front that came through, the weak disturbance that came through late yesterday and overnight completely cleared the area, right? It didn't get hung up like the one about, 10 days ago or so that provided the foot to foot and a half of rain. This one was a clean push through. Winds are out of the north. Humidity, dew points are dropping. The air is drier. Live look outside to Conway. Just a few clouds in the distance as we look towards the East Coast. And if you do live along the East Coast from, St. Augustine and Palm Coast to Daytona Beach, Titusville, Merritt Island, down towards Indian Atlantic. You look off towards the coastline and you're just going to see a few clouds developing out there, but none of that is trying to push on shore and bring us any rain. And it's nothing but clear skies in Lake Buena Vista in the attractions area. Again, this camera is just 1 mile from the Magic Kingdom, basically beyond that stand of trees. So we have a great perspective and a great look to the attractions area here. We always keep an eye on this camera here at CFLW because there's always people who are out and about in Central Florida in this neck of the woods with the attractions. And again, we're looking quite lovely there at this point in time. Okay, so let's get into the forecast here, guys, as to what I expect over the next couple of days. First thing is that we're going to stay with some pretty tranquil conditions as far as opportunity for rain. Don't expect there to be any big chances over the next couple of days. Now, the only exception I would see is near this boundary. If this boundary can stay in place, there could be just a little bit of moisture and lift developing along it and a very low end chance for an opportunity for a shower storm in our far southeast areas. May not even be southern Brevard County. It might be Indian River County and off towards the south, but that's really grasping at straws, if you will, to provide us with any rain chance. Let me show you the HRRR model. It's going to be the high resolution rapid refresh. I'm just going to loop it up. Again, it's a model that updates hourly, but it only goes out 48 hours. So let's take a look at that. And again, apologize for the time issue here. I just have to recorrect the internal clock and then restart the computer, and it'll come back up. So Friday's show will be just fine. But again, we're an hour ahead here on this timing, but not a big deal. If you look again, this is what I'm talking about. A few little spotty showers could try and sneak in, maybe as far north as Merritt Island, but you know, O'Galley and Satellite Beach and in Harbor Beach and Palm Bay and Grand Valkyria and Mico, especially Sebastian, Indian River Shores, then down towards Vero Beach. I'm talking about a sprinkle or two, and that's about it with this bit of an onshore wind. Now, this boundary should stick around South Florida in the next couple of days and provide some decent rain for Miami and the Keys and portions of the northern and northwest side of the Bahamas. But again, our air is too dry. We're not going to take advantage of that boundary. And so we're actually in store for, you know, sunshine, cooler mornings, and dry conditions. Now, temperatures will begin to come up a little bit starting on Wednesday because of that, but not appreciably. You know, we're just going to be kind of slipping back to where we should be for this time of the year. But when I expand this out and I show you the HRRR model across most of the continental U.S., it's not just us, but a lot of the central and eastern part of the United States is high and dry, as high pressure has taken back control of the area here, and this has really allowed for some beautiful, tranquil conditions, and the opportunity to get any rain in the forecast is going to be fairly slim to none. So high pressure has built back in over the Mid-South and the Tennessee Valley and through the Appalachians as well. So, you know, all our storm systems have to go up and over that as well. I'm not really sure why the temperatures are just stuck there. There we go. So you get the idea that that's kind of the overall look. Now, what that's going to do, if we take a look at the temperatures here in the next 6 to 10 days, is that's going to keep our temperatures, you know, cooler to begin with, and then moderately warming up. But the good news is that if you don't enjoy temperatures that are outrageously hot this time of the year, we are in the neutral pattern in the 6 to 10 day forecast. So we're not expecting things to climb up outrageously high. Now this weekend, I would expect temperatures to slip back into the low and maybe even a couple of mid 80s, but nothing that's going to be crazy out there. Actually, all of the hot weather is going to be in the western third of the United States and especially into the Four Corners, where they're going to be exceptionally above average here in the next 6 to 10 days. Rainfall wise though, and again, we are getting into the drier time of the year, but even then we should be drier than average. So, you know, the gray gives us an average chance for some rain, but I don't expect anything in the next few days. And then we're going to have drier than normal conditions in the northern part of Central Florida and through most of the Southeast. So again, we're just a little bit drier than average here, but we're starting to move into a time frame where we don't expect there to be a lot of rain on a daily basis either. If you take a look at the drought monitor here, so let me drop off the 6 to 10 day. Actually, I think the easiest way to do this is this. Let me go here. Sorry, let me go here and just drop off temperatures. Hey, Garrett, how are you? Good to see you, by the way. Sorry. Hi, Rhea, how are you as well? Good afternoon to you. Hey, Garrett, 75 degrees. That's a pretty warm forecast. No doubt about it. After a very cool Halloween. It was kind of chilly up there for Halloween, but now it's going to be a lot nicer there. So I'm going to bring on just the drought monitor. And again, you get the idea that our western zones still continue to be the drier areas, and that's not going to change anytime soon. There's no big rain in the forecast for the next week or, you know, maybe 10 days, as you saw from that 6 to 10 day outlook. So again, the yellow represents abnormally dry. We're not technically under a drought, but for Marion County, Sumter County, a lot of citrus, and Hernando and Pasco and Pinellas and the western sides of Hillsborough and a lot of Manatee and Sarasota counties, we are, again, a little bit drier than average. These were certainly the areas of Central Florida that didn't have the amount of rain that central and the eastern sides got for the majority of the wet season. Hey, Blue Goose, how are you as well? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you guys. Appreciate all my friends joining in on the chat while you guys are here. Thanks for taking a quick second, hitting that like button for me. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe as well. While you're here, you have a specific question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comments section below as well. All right, so let's get into kind of, again, my overall thinking for the forecast over the week ahead. I got some city by city forecast for you. And then I want to talk very quickly about the tropics as well. Believe it or not, there is something to discuss. So we'll get into that here in just a second. So I'm going to go back over to the GFS model here, and it's just going to take us out a little bit farther in time. I'll go ahead and take it out to Friday. So we'll go out to the 7th and loop that up for you guys. Good to see you as well, Ray. I hope you're doing well today. My birthday is Halloween. Happy Halloween, Fiona. Let's get the hearts out in chat for Fiona for her birthday. Happy Halloween. Happy birthday. All those great things. I'm spamming the chat for you, Fiona, with all the hearts. My nephew's birthday is November 1st. And then my wife, myself, and our oldest son, all of our birthdays are in December. So I talk about how we save all year to just, blow all of our money in December with 3 birthdays and Christmas and all that kind of stuff. It ends up being a disaster. But, the issue is, of course, is that around the holidays, just like Fiona and Halloween, sometimes it gets a little bit overlooked. But, I've gotten used to it. And my family does a good job of making sure that we're all reminded of, so not a big deal. So this is, again, the boundary to our south over the next couple days, which will provide some moisture there. But because it's gotten this far south, and I don't expect it to really slip much farther north, we just stay in the drier air. Again, southern zones could flirt with a little bit of rain, portions of Sarasota and Manatee, and Indian River County, and Brevard, and maybe southern Polk and Osceola counties, but again, kind of grasping at straws. If anything else, a little bit of cloud coverage down there, but this boundary is generally going to stay put on the models south of us, the southern third of the state, especially over Miami and the Keys and portions of the Bahamas. So I'm just not expecting a lot of rain through Friday. Now, there is another front, as you can see, that is beginning to march its way into the south as we get into Friday afternoon. And coming up on Friday's show, we'll talk about whether this is going to provide us with any rain for the weekend ahead, or maybe early next week, or whether it just fizzles out before it even gets here. So let's go over some city by city forecasts for you guys. Just got a couple for you today. And then I want to get into the tropics. So here's what it looks like for our friends in Sanford. We've still got one nice cool morning. I do expect there to be some 40s for morning lows tomorrow. We'll take a look at that in just a second as well in those couple of spots. The other thing is that the winds, we're going to get a reinforcing push of north winds again tomorrow. So the air is going to be nice and dry. So you get a big spread in temperatures from the morning low of 54 in Sanford to 79 for the daytime high with the north wind at 10 to 20. And again, a little bit breezy, could be light jacket or windbreaker weather, certainly in the morning hours, but beautiful in the afternoon. Slightly warmer conditions with build-in with just a little bit of cloud coverage, but still more sun than clouds for sure on Wednesday and Thursday. But morning lows do come up as winds start to turn a little bit more out of the east and eventually slowly out of the southeast. 61 the morning low on Wednesday, 81 the daytime high, back up to 81 on Thursday afternoon, and around 60 for the morning low. This is some fantastic conditions. You get the little bit cooler weather in the morning. If you like the cooler, crisper air, you get the nice sunshine and the warmer weather in the afternoon, but not outrageously hot and still low humidity with lower 80s for our friends in Sanford. Down in the Bradenton area, again, still expecting overall to be dry conditions. I could have slipped in a little 10% on Wednesday, Thursday, but appreciably, I think if the scenario is it sprinkles more than anything, and still more sunshine than cloud coverage even on Wednesday and Thursday, but more sun again tomorrow. And again, a cool morning, right? It's all relative, but Bradenton, Sarasota area down to 57 tomorrow morning, getting back up to 82 degrees for the daytime high, then slightly warmer conditions on Wednesday and Thursday, 84, morning lows creeping up a bit, back up to 64 degrees on Thursday. Let's talk about the morning lows for tomorrow. So I'm just going to slip back over to the weather computer here real quickly and then bring back up the HER model. We'll go over to temperature and then just look at tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. And again, yes, the clock is actually, that might be right now. Anyway, I still have to just reset the internal clock to get it to be completely correct in the models. We're just an hour off with the live data, but I think the model data is actually correct time. Anyway, so let's look at tomorrow morning, what the temperatures look like. One more cool morning. Still expecting there to be a couple of 40s out there. So Inverness 47, Denellen 49.50, Bellevue 51, the Villages slip it to the upper 40s. Spring Hill again, you know, Chessie was mentioning 42, I believe, Saturday morning, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so still some 40s here. So the bottom line is that we've got one more morning of 40s. Now again, along the immediate East Coast with the onshore wind, it will be warmer, but it is very area dependent, right? You know, the A1A area might actually stay in the upper 60s to 70, but you get just inland of there. You get just inland of US 1 and 92 and even east of 95, and you're going to be in the low to mid 50s. It could be a huge temperature gradient. I don't know if it's as strong as the HER model is showing, a 15-degree gradient from, you know, the A1A little coastal areas to just a mile or two inland. But you get the idea that it's the East Coast that's going to see the big difference in temperatures from the coastline to just onshore, whereas here, you know, through Citrus County, maybe a degree or two warmer, but even Crystal River is likely to drop back down to the upper 40s for tomorrow morning. And even down in the Tampa area, again, it's jacket weather tomorrow. Now, Hillsborough County will be cooler than Pinellas County, but even Clearwater and Largo and Palm Harbor and Tarpon Springs all have the opportunity to be in the upper 40s to the lower 50s. So a big gradient in temperatures. You know, Orlando again tomorrow morning, upper 40s, lower 50s. Kissimmee, 53. The Groveland, Claremont area should be in the upper 40s, whereas Titusville again, right in the city. Again, just really depends, right? I'm not sure that the HER model is completely accurate here, but you get the idea that you get away from those easterly winds, which are tapping into the warmer waters of the Atlantic, and it gets cooler in a hurry. So GFS your winds, etc., even with tropical weather quiet. We're going to get into that right now. So let's do that. So one more cooler morning, milder temperatures, no threat for any rain. Okay, tropical time here real quick. Now, a couple things. First of all, we're still in hurricane season, right? Still in hurricane season. That being said, typically speaking, you've got until about the 10th to 14th of November to get any other additional tropical development. As we get through the month of November, especially the mid-month, things get cooler. You know, you get more disruptive weather, especially in the Gulf and the Western Atlantic with our cold fronts and all this dry air, to really limit the opportunity for anything that tries to develop, even if it's just in the Caribbean, to work its way this far north. So the time is thankfully beginning to run out. But also what happens is in the early part of November, this monsoon trough, which is very prominent in southern sides of Central America, begins to lift north. And it's the Western Caribbean that we watch out for potential development the first couple of weeks of November for that monsoon trough as it lifts north to become a little bit more active. So what you're looking at here is a GFS model. I think I just run it out through about 10 days, right? And you're going to start to see that the GFS model on this deterministic run, which is the main model run, is starting to show some signs of potential tropical development in the Northwest Caribbean. And you can clearly see that spin beginning to develop. Now, this is not just this model run. I've been watching this every day, obviously, since May 1st. But over the last several days, both the GFS and from time to time, but not as consistently, the European model is showing some development. It was actually the European model that picked up on it first, has backed off a little bit. I'm going to wait for the newest run to come in a little bit later this afternoon before I go on Mediamundo. But you get the idea that, you know, in the Northwest Caribbean, there might be a little bit in the way of some spin there. If we take a look at the winds associated with this, if I just go out to, if I pause the time frame here, these whites represent sustained winds of 40 miles an hour, and you start to see, again, a little bit of more interest here. Now, at this point in time, there's no reason to go beyond this, right? You know, I'm going to show you the ensemble members of the GFS. But what I will say is that typically, if any of these systems try and hold together, they do try and make a run north in latitude into the Gulf, all right? Now, timing-wise, obviously, you know, do we have another trough coming in with drier air to quickly push this back north and east, or is it able to slip up into the central or the eastern Gulf if it does hold together. There's a lot of question marks, but you guys are smart people if you're watching this. And this is just something to monitor. It's as simple as that. The earliest development would be this weekend and into early next week, but that would be the earliest development here. And I'm just letting the wind model run. So you get the idea that as we even head towards, Sunday, which is going to be the 9th, and then into the 10th and the 11th, about this time next week, there's still not a ton here. It would be about a week away. And again, you start to run out of time here. Now, one exception is that the sea surface temperatures in the Western Caribbean are still exceptionally warm. This is away from where we had the cold water upwelling with Melissa. The temperatures are rebounding a little bit, but they're a little bit cooler in the Central and the Eastern Caribbean. But this is untapped sea surface temperatures here. We've had no real development in this area. And unfortunately, even in November, the sea surface temperatures can support development. So you can clearly see right at the end that spin beginning to develop, in about a 9 to 10 day time frame. So it's something to watch. Simple as that. Well, Neek, indeed. And thankfully, too, the deeper we go into November, the opportunity for this really begins to fall off pretty quickly. This is the GFS model. So you are looking at what's called the deterministic. These are the ensemble members. So you have 50 different ensemble members of the GFS running at the same time. So again, if you look in the time frame Monday into Tuesday, you start to see a couple of the members begin to pop up things. Now this is a loop. I'm just going to pause it. So this is basically late Wednesday night of next week. And you can see that the GFS model has a couple of areas of potential development here in the Western Caribbean. Now beyond this, and again, this is where the model starts to just kind of do its thing, and I don't have a lot of faith in it beyond 10 days or so, especially this late into the season, but it does try and pull it closer to Florida if it keeps it developed. Another note is that it does try and develop a little bit something off of the eastern side of Turks and Caicos and the Bahamas. That one's a little bit less of a signal. I'm not as concerned about that one because it goes back into the open waters. But even the European model is hinting at a little bit of development here. Again, it's not a huge signal at this point in time, but it's something that I'm always going to monitor for you guys. And of course, when I see you guys back here for Friday's show, it's something that I'm going to be talking about again. So tune back in for Friday as well. Anyone have any questions about the forecast? Feel free to let me know in the comments section below. Well, again, let's not focus in on any one thing, right? But just to show you that there would be some potential development on the GFS. It's, please listen to my tone. I'm not overtly concerned about it, but I'm always going to let you guys know what I'm seeing in the background. And both models, the Bain global models, the European and the GFS, have both had some development over the last several days of model runs in the Western Caribbean. The European was the one who picked it first, and now the GFS is a little bit more robust. I'm curious to see what the new European model run is going to show this afternoon, and I'll cover that over on the Meteorologist channel. But again, not a big deal at this point in time. If this were even to develop, we've got plenty of time to talk about it and monitor the situation. Well, Chessie, that happens a lot this time of the year, right? You get the timing of the next front coming in to coincide with that system trying to get north, and it just shuts it off. It says, sorry, the Gulf is closed. You can't get any farther to the north. It's exactly what happened with Melissa, but just farther south, where that trough came all the way down into the Northwest Caribbean, picked up the southwest winds at the surface, and pushed the storm north and east, unfortunately right back over Jamaica. But that was the reason why that the storm didn't go any farther north and west than what it was, than what it did, right? And that's why it's a much harsher environment as well, because as these fronts come in, they push in drier air, they push in cooler air, sea surface temperatures begin to drop this time of the year. It just becomes a lot harder for, for it to be able to sustain itself. Simple as that. All right. So again, I mentioned that I've got this, and please excuse me here. I mentioned that I have this recipe for you guys. Right? Now, if you didn't join right at the beginning, part of the Meteorologist team was out for the 11th annual Egg Fest at Wekiva Island, I believe it was. Just want to make sure I got that right. Yes. Great food event, great charity event. You know, we want to be a part of the community. We want to get out there. You know, part of the thing about this channel is just getting more eyes on it, right? Having more people who live in Central Florida understand that this channel even exists, right? And to check it out. So we did that event for people to basically say hi and to get an understanding. We handed out cards that had the QR code where you could scan and join. So I don't know whether anyone is watching right now who joined us from the Egg Fest over the weekend, but allegedly, and taking a look at the recipe myself, I can understand why. The corn ribs that we cooked were a huge hit and people were clamoring for the recipe. Well, we teased it. We said, okay, check it out. We're going to wait until this live stream to hand out that recipe. So I'm going to do that for you guys right now. What you're going to see in the chat is going to be the link to the recipe. So it's very, the prep, it's probably not that hard, but it's much easier for me just to provide the link than to try and explain it to you guys. So check out that link. Even if you didn't join us for the Egg Fest over the weekend, check out that, you know, recipe. It might be something I do at home as well. They sound awesome. Really, really cool. Just basically fingerling corn ribs, and you know, dress them up and you grill them and you're good to go. Oh, very yummy. Check it out. So appreciate all those who joined us for that. Appreciate all those who took our cards. Hopefully we'll get some new subscribers. And for you guys, the thing that you can help us do is to share this channel with anyone who you know might get something out of it, right? That's going to allow us to continue to grow, which is a very necessary thing here for us as we move on. So I appreciate you guys, you know, sharing the channel as well. Let's see. Fiona said, we hear you, monitor only. Oh, monitor only. Yeah, you got it. Sorry, I thought we were talking about my audio because I have a monitor only mode as well. It's like, wait a minute, what? Yep, we're monitoring. Has Melissa got to Iceland or UK yet? I'm not sure. I haven't looked. Now, obviously, when we're talking about what's left over with Melissa, you're talking about just remnant situation. It does look like so those are temperatures. It does look like some fresher winds are beginning to come in. Here's the UK up here. Now look, it's always breezy this time of the year, but they are beginning to get some gale conditions across the Northern Isles. And Iceland, not as bad. So it does look like the UK is freshening up, but again, you know, my satellite data is a little bit spotty here on the ghosts. 19 from here. I don't think the 18 is going to help me out any. Yeah. Let's see here if I go to base satellite imagery here. I don't think that this imagery, satellite imagery, gets me that far east though. So Fiona, I'd say definitely yeah, I would definitely say the squalls are getting there. I mean, you can see 45, 50 mile an hour gusts. Nice spin back here too. And then our higher res data comes back into here. Okay, yeah, you got it. So it was, but it's quickly working its way through. I think we've got some outer bands here, and then you've got the spin here associated with it. But quite honestly, I was a little bit, I think it is right here. I was away for the weekend, and I had not checked in on what was going on with Melissa since then. But look, the UK is known for the wind here as we get into fall. So that is nothing outrageous for them to have to deal with 40 and 50 mile an hour winds on a daily basis and a lot of cold air too. Okay. No snow. Yep. All right. So I think it's going to do it for the live stream. We actually on for even longer than I expected. First of all, again, thanks for taking a quick second, hitting the like button and subscribing. Please remember CFLW is sponsored by the leading law firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. Look, they got you covered when it comes to walking you through the insurance claim process. So if you were impacted by some of the flooding from the last week or two, or you know someone who was and they're having to start that insurance claim process, they can help it out. They offer free consultation and policy reviews. So check them out, leanonmelaw.com for more information as well. As always, I keep a close eye on the forecast. I don't think there's any reason I have to come back on between now and Friday. So I'll see you guys for Friday's CFLW, the show at 1 o'clock. Again, for Friday's show, we're going to be watching a front to our north. We'll talk about the opportunity for that to potentially bring us some rain either over the weekend or early next week. Temperatures will be warming up, so there's going to be more 80s outside. If you have weekend plans, we'll be talking about that. And obviously, we'll have a little bit better idea of what might be happening in the Western Caribbean with signs of any potential tropical development. Again, this time of the year, it is kind of, you have to watch it every day to see if the models want to hint that that's actually going to develop into something. And I'll have a lot more information on that for Friday's show as well. Again, thanks for helping to support the channel. I really appreciate you guys taking a part of your Monday to spend it with me, that you find enough information on this channel and you enjoy what's happening on the channel to take part of your time and to join us here live. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Have a great rest of your Monday, and I'll see you guys back on Friday for the next edition of CFLW Show. Until then, my friends, you all take care.